cop kicked this guy in the head, so he's down and they tased him?
It's a video that shocked our city. First brought to you back in January by CityNews. The troubling recording shot by an eyewitness shows a Toronto police sergeant tasering what appears to be an unresponsive man, not once or twice, but 3 times, while also repeatedly stomping on him. Then the sergeant turns his attention to the man behind the cell phone, which leads to other officers threatening him. Now, the whole scene played out right here near Dundas and Church, the suspect being tasered and kicked face down on the cold, hard curb that January morning. The man who shot the video behind that cell phone, his name is Wasim Khan. He was standing right about here filming the whole ordeal when police began approaching him, telling him to step back and threatening to take his phone away. He filed an official report with the OIPRD. Tonight we have exclusive details from that report, which alleged serious police misconduct.
I honestly thought that it was possible that he could die. That's his second time. Third time. You hear it? I felt like they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, you know?
In the summary of the OIPRD's report exclusively obtained by CityNews, it's alleged Sergeant Eduardo Miranda, seen here with a taser in his hand, repeatedly stomping on the suspect, used excessive force.
Get that guy out of my face, please.
The OIPRD also alleged the 51 Division Sergeant showed discreditable conduct when he ordered a constable to remove Khan and his phone from the scene, even though he is legally allowed to record the incident. The report saying thereby bringing discredit on the reputation of the Toronto Police Service. The OIPRD has now advised Chief Saunders to begin a disciplinary hearing for Sergeant Miranda. Penalties could include loss of pay, a suspension, or even dismissal from the force.
He's going to spit in your face, you're going to get AIDS. Stop recording or I'm going to seize your phone as evidence.
In the days following that comment, Toronto Police sent out this tweet correctly stating that you cannot get AIDS from someone spitting on you. The report finding the constable's AIDS comment showed discreditable conduct, as did this.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Nope. I'm a witness. I'm a witness.
The fourth and final allegation finds that Sergeant Miranda and 5 constables all on scene that morning showed neglect of duty for failing to activate the in-car camera system and microphones upon arriving at the scene of the incident, contrary to police orders.
You asked me to turn my camera off, and you all conveniently didn't turn your microphones on, so, you know.
It was January 24th when a female officer responded to a call from a man spitting on an employee at a downtown homeless shelter. The officer was allegedly punched by the suspect, Andrew Henry. Area construction workers jumped in to help. Henry, who cops slapped with 9 charges, was tossed in the back of a cruiser, though he ended up kicking out a window. That's when it's alleged officers dragged him back out onto the pavement and the allegations of excessive force began.
That doesn't take away his rights as a citizen, and that doesn't change whether or not he's a human being or whether he's a civilian or whether or not police have to be held accountable when they are, from what I saw, clearly going above the law.
Though the allegations are serious, the officers involved only face disciplinary penalties. Now, the constables, they'll likely be dealt with internally, while Sergeant Miranda, those allegations will go before a hearing. Though the Chief of Police, Chief Mark Saunders, gets to pick the prosecutor as well as the adjudicator for those hearings, which is usually a retired cop or a retired judge. Ahead on CityNews, a lawyer sounds off about how the hearings go and the power Chief Saunders has over the pending proceedings. Earlier on CityNews, we told you the questionable conduct of 6 Toronto police officers and the findings from an OIPRD report. Now, it alleges that the sergeant used questionable conduct and excessive force while arresting a man just off of Dundas near Church here, right behind me, on January. Now there's questions being raised about how his hearing will proceed.
Stop resisting!
Findings, especially in respect to Sergeant Miranda, are very, very serious.
Though serious, the 51 Division Police Sergeant is not facing criminal charges. At this time, he will only appear before a disciplinary hearing at the request of the OIPRD. And it's the Chief of Police who gets to handpick the prosecutor and the adjudicator, which is either a retired cop or retired judge. Given the current climate and certain situations surrounding the Toronto Police Force today,
Do you have issues with how this proceeding will take place?
For now, we're stuck in a process legislatively, but we have to ensure that that process is fair. The chief of police has a lot of power in terms of how a hearing process unfolds.
He's down and they tased him?
The allegations against the 5 constables can be dealt with internally, while the allegations against Sergeant Miranda will be going to a hearing where disciplinary penalties could include loss of pay, a suspension, or even dismissal from the force.
There will have to be systemic changes. Here we have 6 police officers on the scene of a situation, and they all had vehicles with in-car cameras and camera dash cams, and none of them turned on those cameras. And they were trying to force somebody who had a camera, a cell phone camera recording, they were trying to force that person off the street and to seize that person's camera.
Still kind of surreal. It was a bit scary.
Wasim Khan will be a witness at the upcoming hearing. He says he looked at the video he shot that January morning for the first time in months just the other day.
I think about what if I wasn't there? What if I didn't take my cell phone out? What if they didn't think anybody was looking? Would it have turned out differently? Would they have done more to the person that was on the ground?
Stop resisting!
What brought you into CityNews that day?
Oh, I was convinced they were going to take my phone. I was 100% convinced that they were going to take my phone. I went across the street and I saw the officers looking at me, and I knew I had to get that video somewhere before they got a hold of my phone. Whether they were going to delete it, whatever they were going to do with it, I don't know. But I wanted to make sure that that video was put somewhere safe, and so that people can see it. And City TV was there, and that's where I went.
I'm a witness. I'm a witness.
Okay, well, if you're...
The hearing is set to begin on September 26, and tonight on City News at 11, we're going to hear from the director of the OIPRD as he explains what led to his findings.